respect to all of this. I was looking at my records last night. Since September of 2014. So almost 5 years at this point. We have gone back and forth. We had a problem with the city with respect to the windows that you see in there. They wanted energy calculations with respect to the windows in every unit in Basine. We got approval from Dan Salerno, who designed this building in the first place. He lives up in Reno. And Dan will let us do what he'll sign off for anything that we have to be able to use his plans so we don't have to redraw the plans if we had to do the energy calculations. But in the last several months, AMSCO, who builds this particular window, came out with a vinyl window that meets the Title 24 requirements. And so consequently, we would not have to do all of this energy calculation by an energy calculator engineer. Basically, this is a vinyl window on the outside. It's the first vinyl window set up for high-rise buildings. If you don't know, and I don't think we knew at the start of this is not like a home window. You have to have commercial windows in a building over 3 stories. So they're built a lot different than if you were building it for a home. These windows, we're getting rid of the awning window on the bottom. As you can see, it will be a solid window. The top window would be operable. And like if you were on, I'm going to call them the front unit and the rear unit, and then of course there's 2 other units over here, and you can ask questions with respect to that if that affects you. But in the front units, there's 4 windows in the front bedroom. There's 3 windows in the back bedroom. As it's set up now, what we're proposing is the 2 outside windows would go out to 90 degrees, and that top would open. If you want to have all 4 of them go open in the front, so you have 2 and 2, that could be done for an additional charge. When we did it with the other windows, that additional charge to make all 4 of them operable on the top was about $1,000 for the 2 windows. The 3 windows in the bedroom would open on the outside, and the middle one would be a stationary window. I guess in the inside of this, and you will see, on the other ones, it's all the anodized aluminum color. It's the same color throughout on the inside. On these, we can have white on the inside if that's what you prefer. If you really, really want something different, while they wouldn't like it, they can do it if somebody needs a brown color on the inside.
Is that an additional charge to change the color on the inside?
I don't know at this point. We just got that.
Yes, it would be actually. It comes white. They all come white. But if you want a custom color on the inside, we can do that.
This is Jim Laster.
If you guys can't hear in the back, because I know Bob's hard to hear, there are a lot of seating up here, so there's an option if you can't hear in the back, okay?
Jim, is there options as to the color? I mean, is it going to be just the oil bronze or white, or are there other colored options that might be available for additional cost?
This is the exterior right here. This is what we all agreed upon.
Yes, that's right. I'm talking
The
in
interior, I can turn this around, but the interior comes in white.
okay.
From the manufacturer. That's the key. If you want custom color, do I speak loud enough?
Does he need it for the recording?
Oh, I'm sorry. If you want a custom color, we're more than happy to do that for you. However, that would be an upcharge. I can't give you the exact price, but if that's the case, and that's really what you prefer, we can certainly do it. Now, I'm open to questions, whatever you guys want to know about this particular window. It's a beautiful window.
Let me just explain one thing first that we haven't explained already. Only that we voted on is the windows in the hallway. There will probably would be an assessment to do these windows. That has not been determined yet. That's going to be a vote of homeowners. So all we're moving forward with is the hallway. We want to kind of explain to you guys what's going on. So when we do have a vote for the assessment, you're fully aware of the options and all. Bob later will talk cost and payment options and things like that. But for now, we'll turn it over. Okay.
The reason we decided to go with the hallway a couple of years ago was that we needed a sample in what it was going to take to be able to actually put these windows in. Right now, if you look up in some of the windows, you can see floors. The windows, when they put them in, did not break exactly with the floors. And in between the floors, if you look at your window, there's a gap between when you go by the floor of about a half an inch or so. And so consequently, if there was somebody smoking down there or somebody talking down there, you can hear that. With these, we're putting a metal strip across with a sound barrier inside. I'm going to call it styrofoam. It's not styrofoam, but it's like that. Inside that piece of black metal between the floors to eliminate that gap. And so consequently, we will, once we do this sample, they will have a much better idea as to how complicated this is going to be to put these in. We've taken those windows apart. We've looked at them. We think we have a pretty darn good idea, but that sample project, and that was the whole purpose of the sample project, is do this where it doesn't affect anybody and it doesn't affect any units, and we'll determine the problems we're going to have, because there's no difference between those two windows over there and the windows in the units, basically. It's the same exact installation.
We're going to hold questions until he finishes, and we're going to have a question and answer period. There'll be time for questions. So remember your questions. Let's do it all then. Okay, Jim.
All right, thank you. The exterior frame, let me talk with this real quick. It is vinyl, but it's not a painted surface. This is a black co-extruded product from AMSCO, whereby in the manufacturing process, the black is infused into, co-extruded into the actual frames when they're made. What that means is they're so much more resilient to scratching, fading, cracking, peeling, and especially coastal elements, as we're subjected here to. So it's not going to fade on you. It's not going to turn chalky or anything, and it's not going to get lighter in color. It's going to stay just like this. Guaranteed not to. Also, again, the inside of the panel of the window is a white frame. It's called a casement, where you crank it and it opens out 90 degrees. I can turn this around and show it to you, but I'll wait till I finish talking about it. There is an option also on this where when you do crank the window out, you'll be able to reach in and clean the inside of that pane of glass. This particular model doesn't feature that, but the other model we can, if you wish, provide you with you can clean the inside of the pane of glass. That's
the outside.
Yeah. Yes, clean the outside from the inside. Okay, that's big. That's huge, and they've done a lot. This is kind of all experimental for you guys, is what it is. It's a beautiful window. Yeah, they've been making windows for 70 years, so they know pretty much what they're doing. The bottom panel will be tempered glass, because the code calls for anything less than 18 inches off the ground must be tempered. The windows that you have now are so far out of code, it's unbelievable. But anyway, that's going to all be resolved. Top windows don't need to be tempered. However, the glass that goes into these windows, it's a commercial grade low E 366 glass. There's 3 coats of silver oxide on the interior panes of these glasses. That keeps the heat out and the cold. It also keeps a lot of the ultraviolet rays out. They do meet and qualify for and comply with Title 24, California Title 24 mandated energy specifications. The argon gas is filled in between the panes of glass as well. So what this is a high performance window when it comes to energy conservation. It keeps the heat out and the cold out, and inside the unit it keeps the warmth in and the coolness inside. Okay? Pretty much it. We want to experiment. We're contracted to go ahead and do the hallway windows over here. It's a learning process for us as well. We've never really taken on this kind of a project, although we've done a lot of commercial projects. You're kind of unique with the design of your windows, and this is going to be fun. From this, we'll be able to give you an accurate quote on what it's going to take to finish the whole complex. Okay?
Hey, can we get you to demonstrate while these guys might help hold the window and demonstrate? And I want to say one thing. I had a window put in similar to this 5 years ago, and I see a lot of improvements over the window we had put in. One, the screen is much better designed, where our screen has little metal clips that are already bending. This is very easy to get in and out. As they crank it out, you're going to see you might not need to put away from the wall. The hinge that's cranking it out, in our case, in 5 years, is all rusted down there. That hinge down there is Teflon and won't rust. The cranking is very easy to do. So it's even improved over the ones we had put in 5 years ago, much improved. So,
Okay, real quick. As you can see, when this window is open, you can't really clean the exterior panel from the inside. However, there is an option that I was explaining to you whereby the crank would be moved over and the actual window would open from about, say, this position here. So now you can reach in there with a squeegee and a sponge and you can clean the window. Okay? This is called a casement window. It opens, you just crank it. And it locks.
Does it just have one lock?
Yes, it's a double prong lock for the whole window.
Pull the top in two?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there's a channel that goes up and it locks up above and down below.
are you taking questions yet? I think now's a good time. Okay, you want to go around and if you ask your question, maybe come to the middle and ask it so we can hear the question. We're recording this in video, and then we can hear his response and all. So, who's okay? I think who's got first question here?
Dual pane? Yes, sir. Okay. Those people that for the people living on the first floor, is there something that we can do as a security measure where if we can open up the windows partially, is there a way that we can lock it in place at that position for security reasons?
You mean just a few inches or so limit or ventilation?
A limit? Well,
Well, that's a good question because casement windows are unlike regular horizontal sliders or up and down windows where you can do that. Whether you can open this just a few inches, I'm not sure if there's a locking mechanism specifically for this particular window. But we'll find out. Okay? I'll have to engineer out of that one. I'll find out and I'll make a mental note on that. But I know what you mean.
We're writing the questions down. They're not answered.
Yeah, please do.
So we have documented those questions. Okay, I think the gentleman here had a question.
Excuse me. The notice I received from Venus Realty, item D states the vote was to be today in order to proceed with the installment of the windows in Tower 3, common areas. And you state that it's already been voted on?
Well, what I said was that's been voted on, but to use these actual windows, we're going to vote today to use, if we go with these actual windows.
Well, what's the alternative to these windows?
Then we would, if we don't use these windows, then we're back to square one. We got to figure out what windows we're going to use.
Oh, there's not an alternative window manufacturer that was... Oh, okay.
All these samples, there's a ton of samples back there.
Okay. Also, are they going to fit in the vertical frame that's in existence in the towers right now? Or are they going to be new frames constructed in order to put those casement windows in?
No, the existing frames will stay.
Okay.
These will be designed and custom made
Okay.
to fit inside those existing frames.
Yeah. So the white is going to contrast with the dark color that's already in the frames. Right, and the frame on the interior is dark colored. So it's going to be a multi-color on the interior of the unit. Okay.
I could do that.
So we can hear his answer.
Okay. What's being proposed for the patio sliders? Oh, sure. Who, me? Hi, I'm John Sparrow, 421. The sliders to the patios. When we remodeled, 14 years ago, whatever, we put in bifolding 4 panels that open wide open. They're actually good ones when we did them. Are we replacing everything? And if we are, can we have the patios be biparting that open up wide?
We're not replacing the sliders. If you want sliders,
Oh.
Mr. Perfect has them available And they can put them in at the same time.
What we'd like to do is get this mock-up built for you, figure out what it's going to take to finish the entire complex, and then let you see the kind of work we can do. We're very much aware of the old sliding patio doors. What we would like to do is give you 2 or 3 options on different styles of doors. You have the bifold doors, if you know what I'm talking about. You have the regular sliding horizontal doors like you have now. We can get identical frames, vinyl frames, or we can get aluminum frames. Different engineering sometimes comes into play, and it's really no fun dealing with the city of San Diego when it comes to engineering. But anyway, we will be prepared to provide everybody in here in some form of a flyer that the association may send to everybody that'll have these options to you and different price options as well for your patio doors, which you folks are apparently pay for yourself. The windows and everything is the association. The other thing we're working on is your railings outside on your patio. Apparently not apparently, they're pretty well falling apart. We have a couple of options, and we've done many railing systems throughout San Diego, and we can give you some pricing on that. What we're focusing on now is getting these windows put in for you. This is our kind of what we decided on is the best overall window for basing. We've had other aluminum type windows and this and that, but because of certain engineering specifications and permitting specifications, it became a nightmare. And it also, the cost kept going up and higher. This just simplifies everything. It's going to last longer. It's going to be here indefinitely. It's not going to be subjected to any rust or anything whatsoever because it's a good vinyl window. It's like a good Chevy truck or a good Ford truck. That's what this is.
Let me clarify one thing before we have all these hands up because I see the panic out there. All right, there will be, there's 2 different issues. There's the window replacement that he's talking about. Well, there's 3. There's on your own, your sliders. If you want to replace your slider, opportunity for you to do it maybe at a reduced cost because multiple homeowners will do it at the same time. And third, we will put the option out there as a vote to do the railings. Now, so the windows, the windows could pass, just the windows could pass, the railings will stay the way they are, or they could both pass. They'll be separate, you'll be voted separately. So in other words, we can vote for just the windows and not the railings, or for both, or for neither. So you have that option. So don't let the railings confuse you. There's a separate vote and all that.
There's a sample of that railing over there. It's a glass railing. We can have a top on it or not have a top on it.
Where are these windows manufactured and how long have they been in business?
All right, the question was, where are the windows manufactured and how long have they been in business?
Okay, the manufacturer's AMSCO, AMSCO. They're out of Salt Lake City. I think they turned 70 years this year, 70 years in the business. I think they're one of the oldest manufacturers in the world. This is what they build is vinyl windows. They don't build anything else but vinyl windows. Because you're a multi-family commercial type grade product here, it's a 10-year full 10-year lifetime warranty. Okay? On this system. Okay, take the lifetime out of there. I'm sorry. Okay, my bad. 10 years. 10 years. And by the way, if it's a lousy windows, if they don't last a year or 2. If any problems you usually have with any window, they show up pretty soon. But anyway, 10 years, 100%.
Who warranties any of the labor that needs to be done? Is that your company or the window company?
Okay, AMSCO, all their dealers warranted AMSCO's products. So we would be the ones you would call if you had an issue with this. And we will have a service representative come out immediately and either fix it on site or assess what the problem is and then order the parts that might be necessary and then come back and fix it. Okay? How long have we been in business? 17 years. Don't think we're going anywhere. However, just keep this in mind. If we're no longer in business, then there's other AMSCO dealers that can help you out. Okay?
What's going to be the top? Hold on a second, Bob's got a comment.
Picture Perfect, and I didn't even know they were doing it. It was a friend of mine put in windows in a 50-unit building for me 7 years ago. We have not had one problem with one window. The only thing we had to do is somebody had a way oversized couch that couldn't go in the front door and couldn't fit through the slider on the second floor. Picture Perfect came out, took the slider out. We put the couch in, and they put the window back in, and they didn't charge us anything. I'm not saying that's what Jim's going to do, but that's what happened.
Hold on 1 second.
The producer wants to interject. Can you, if we're not going to go...
Right, I'm going to repeat the question.
Just repeat the question, yeah.
So
I was wondering what the cost was going to be for the replacement.
we will talk about the cost in a minute. I'm going to say, can we just give them a ballpark right now? We're thinking the assessment would be about $10,000. The reserves would pay the rest of it. So we're talking about what, 17, 18,000 a unit, about 17, 18,000 a unit. Reserves would pay part of that. Part would be an assessment. We could do it on a monthly basis over a year, a quarterly basis. There'll be options for payment and all. So that was.
But the reserves are grossly deficient at this point in time.
That's why they're just paying part of it. We have about one.
We have about $1,300,000 in reserves at this point in time. We have normally, I've been on the board for 17 years. What we've normally operated the building on is about $500,000 to $600,000 worth of reserves, and so consequently, we will not go below that number. But we don't anticipate any major projects. We have done everything we can with respect to the problems that we think we have, and we continue to upgrade the sewer pipes as units are remodeled, and we've fixed everything that we think we have with sewer and with drainage pipes in the catacombs, which is the area between the floor of the first floor and the ceiling of the garage. So I don't know of anything major that we have coming up as far as a big cost. A significant portion of that, if you'll look at those reserves, is the windows. I think we have about $700,000 or $800,000 in there for the windows. No, but the problem is that we have people whose windows are leaking water and leaking air. One set of units on the building number 3, probably 6-7 years ago, we had all the windows taken apart on one stack, 5 up and down, and replaced the seals. And the company that did it just about went out of business as a result of that contract and refused to do any more with respect to us.
And one more issue is a safety issue. For example, we have Mike Nolan in Tower 4 with a new baby, a 2-year-old. It's hot as hell here right now. He can't open his windows because they're unsafe to have a child in there. People have grandchildren to come visit or cats that come. The awning windows are a huge safety issue.
Is this a problem with safety? With the opening 90 degrees?
A safety issue, 90-degree opening.
I'm sorry, your question?
Is that going to be a problem with safety, is opening 90 degrees?
All right, your problem right now is, again, those bottom windows. They open or they slide, whatever, and they're right here on the ground. Any child can open that window
Right, I get that.
and fall out.
So can you put a screen or anything in front of this if you wanted to?
This is the bottom of the window right here. What you're looking at.
No, I'm talking about the top.
Well, here is the screen. This is the screen.
The top here.
Oh, yeah, that's...
You'll have a screen
There's
that's
a
easy to
screen.
take out and put in your shower and clean, and easy to take out and clean, keep it clean.
Every opening window has a screen, brand new screen, and it's at way higher than child level. So
It's very light, easy to move. Yeah.
I have a question about, you mentioned that the 2 inside windows in the master bedroom have the option, we could get them to also open. Do we have that option in the guest bedroom, or that middle one that is currently, would be solid? Is there an option to also pay additional to have that one?
of course, everything. There's so many options that are available, but we designed this to what we thought was the most practical way to do it and get you.
Instead of $1,000 for the 2 in the main master bedroom?
Approximately, yeah.
And then what would it be, do you know?
500.
Approximately half of that. We'd have to, each individual situation is a little maybe different than the other. I'm not sure.
So the question was, how much extra is it be to have a window open that's not part of the contract? And it's about $500 a window, would you say? Approximately $500 a window.
Yeah, is there any credit on energy rebate?
Wow, I wish we could say yes. Unfortunately, welcome to California. SDG&E no longer has rebates. The state no longer gives tax credits, nor does the federal government on windows. And I guess your solar, all that's going away. I guess the solar credits are all going away shortly too. No, I'm sorry, we don't.
In the back there, and then, would you repeat her question?
So, the secondary bedrooms in the 22 buildings, they've got an angular wall outside. So how does that work with the 90 degrees? Will they be hinged on the left to go flat with the angular wall?
Well, I'd have to see it, but it's hard for me to answer that right now. But whatever it is, it's designed. You'll have a window that will open. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Back to your question on the on tax credits or whatever. There are certain people that are in the tax business that you might be able to possibly talk to and see through your CPA or whatever by putting energy conservation new windows in. Is there some way you can maybe get some type of a tax break or a write-off on that? But I can't say that. I'm not a CPA.
Yeah, what issue with that is you have to have income and have to be paying taxes. If you get a tax rebate and a condominium association, is a nonprofit, doesn't have income, doesn't have taxes to get a rebate on.
Yeah,
So there are companies that do what's called performance contracting that'll finance these things. They're for-profit companies. They'll finance a project like this. They'll take the tax rebates and use it for their business, but they charge you a certain amount, to finance and manage this project. I'm not sure. Yeah, but the tax rebates don't work for a nonprofit like we are. We have no profit.
Question for Mary Ann. Mary Ann, what's your question?
How long will you be able to do an entire stack in 1 day? So that
Okay, let me rephrase the question.
we won't have any windows for just the 1 day? Or?
Why don't you talk about the process, how long it's going to take? You're going to do one stack at a time, but timing, what's the inconvenience going to be to the homeowner during this process?
Good question. Okay, that's one of the reasons we're doing the mock-up, to determine what kind of a time frame it takes to do this. So therefore, it will relate to each individual's particular home. And of course, each individual home has different stack sizes and so on and so on. So again, to give you an exact answer to that question, it's kind of hard for me to do, but you'll never be left in a situation where you have an open space or anything like that. If the job isn't going to be completed, whatever section we may be doing in 1 day, we won't start it until the next day. So we won't leave you with an open window with no glass or anything like that. I hope that answers.
You're not going to pull them out. They're going to start on the bottom floor and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. You're not going to take them out until you're ready to put them in. Right.
All right, let me ask another question for a homeowner. So I happen to have plantation shutters in my unit. So how will that affect the insulation and what will we require? Anything different? People have different kind of window treatment inside and all. How does that work?
Okay, plantation shutters, they're beautiful, but sometimes some of the shutters may not have to be removed. But in some cases, depending on the model size and the size of the shutters, they may have to be removed temporarily while these new windows go in. There's also a question of, will they go back? Because we're putting different size frames and everything in. I can't really answer that question either. So what I'm saying is, if you have some beautiful new plantation shutters, let us know. We can come by, our foreman can come by, and we can look at your particular situation and determine, yes, this is fine. They can come off and we can put them back, or they can come off but they can't go back. I don't know the answer to that. So in most cases, it's not a problem. Most cases. But sometimes it can be.
Will we be responsible for removing any of the window coverings?
We
Can they be left there while you put the windows
We would like to have you remove your own shutters because we didn't put them up. I understand. We again, we're not in that business of doing that with the windows. If they do, we can help you if you can't do it yourself, or you can have the company that put them in maybe come back out and take them off and put them on. But it's usually not that big of an issue. Sometimes it may be, but we can determine that on an inspection of your home.
All right, in the back, green shirt. Great.
You just talked about the size of the frames that are going to be increased. What is the total increase in frame size? What's the reduction in glazing area and visibility?
So the question was, there's an increase in frame size. What is a total increase in frame size? What else?
And so what reduction are we going to see in glazing area and visibility?
What reduction in glazing area is going to be
This
because
is a
of these
sample of
windows?
a window right here. So this kind of, if you want to come over, when we get done, please come up and look at this carefully because this shows you the frame sizing. This shows you the glass area. Because it's like a retrofit situation, you will lose a little bit of your glass area, but not enough to sneeze at. It's not going to destroy your view of your beautiful view or anything like that.
Gail. Can't hear you.
A comment and a question. I want to reiterate the security issue. I'm in the front yard in the fob of that window. Just walk right in. So they'll have to really deal with the security. I want to reiterate what Richard said. The question is on scheduling. What happens? How are you scheduled? Suppose one of us is overseas and it's time to do it. So how will that work? Do we get to schedule with you, or what's that going to be?
The question was on schedule. You just on scheduling. Your question was on scheduling. What will the schedule? How long will the schedule be done? How long in advance will you know when your windows are being done? Type of thing. I think that's kind of a board question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think we will probably be working on that. We'll have to work on a schedule. We can get comments and we can maybe have some flexibility. How important is it to go one stack, the next stack? Can you move around? Is it? I mean, since you're doing the scaffolding, as long as you do one curtain wall at a time, is it any problem going moving around, or how would that be?
No.
So that would give it. He's saying no, that we could do that. So that would give us a lot of flexibility in scheduling, and we'd probably want to do that right up front and kind of get the scheduled up front.
What's the time frame for the whole thing?
We don't know that yet. We just don't know that. That's what we're going to help determine by doing this. Yes, sir.
Additional question. When this is all said and done, is the board concerned about the vacuum effect that we already have in the towers?
Well, I already have these windows in. He's asking about the vacuum effect in the towers and all, and I don't have an issue with it. I mean, we're pretty sealed and all. I mean, it's when we open those glass doors, though, you feel the vacuum. I mean, it is definitely sealed and all, but it is.
Because from what I'm gathering is that we're going to fill in the gap between floors. We're now going to be sealed. The units are now going to be properly sealed in with the windows. And as it is, when all of your like during the wintertime, when all of your windows and your sliders are shut, those at the floors, I mean, you're hearing that whistling effect go through your front door. And I'm just wondering if it's going to become more.
All right, there's a concern about the vacuum effect. Wintertime, your windows are closed up. You've got air being sucked out of there. You you have any thoughts on that or any comments?
Not at all.
No.
Not
Okay.
at all.
Anybody else on the board want to? Frank, how about you?
Well, it's, there is such a thing, obviously, but putting new windows in isn't going to change it. It's already there. When we close all our windows now, the
Well, I think the question is
things pull in,
more
they come in.
of a seal, a metal-
It'll be
seal.
a better seal. That's right. And that's what we have now. It's the problem we have now when we seal up the windows.
All right, Gary.
You talked about we're going to have the old metal frames left in there. The problem now with air leakage, heat and cold, is not windows as much as the frames right now. The air comes through those frames between the frame and the walls, the concrete walls. You're going to put windows in there. That's not going to change that leakage in there. Are you going to seal any of that?
Let me rephrase it.
Otherwise, you're not going to accomplish a whole lot by sealing off the windows.
All right, the question is, the fact that the frames themselves are not being replaced and there's any leakage of the frames now is not, would any of that leakage be taken care of with this project? Could you address that?
I'll let Bob write that down.
Yeah, we'll write it down.
Have the owner of the company address that issue, because the windows are triple sealed when they go in. I'm going to let the owner of the company address that issue, because that's a good question.
I do think, with respect to it, all of those struts that go up and down are going to be reclad also, so that they match the color of the windows, so that they don't look the brown color that they are, the gold color that they are. It will all match. There's going to be new metal cladding around all that. I know what you're saying on the two ends and stuff. If there's a leak in there, I don't think that would be a problem, but we can ask. But they're going to seal that when they put that window.
That's where the air is coming in. Right, put your hand up against the wall, right next to that middle frame. That's where the air is coming in. And I've already talked around mine to stop that. But I don't.
And that's what I think they will do when they put these in. But we can talk to them about that.
Just said there's going to be a new clad over the existing metal, and that's going to be sealed. So maybe that'll take care of the problem.
Well, that's
you're
in the
talking
middle,
about.
though, but he's talking about along the ends, I think, on the sides.
Between the concrete and the metal frame, that's
Have
not
Josh.
gonna change.
Have Josh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk to the owner of the company, like Bob said, and get a response on that and see what he can do about that. Lou.
Yeah, I think you probably should stick with that bronze color on both sides, just because there's not all the hallways are the same color, and they may not match too well with white. Plus, I think the white might possibly show scratches and just some other issues that might come up, staining or whatever, and you're not going to see that as much with the bronze color on both sides.
So a question on the color and all. One homeowner here is not happy with the white. So what are the choices for the association as a whole? We could go with, are they always white, or as long as you go with the same color for everybody, is it no? Or these are white windows, is that how it is?
They come white. That doesn't mean they have to be white. They can be a custom color. But if one person, if you're going to do it in this mock-up, yeah, the hallway, then it's kind of up to you guys and the board to make a decision on what color you want the inside of these windows to be.
Would they be painted?
Yes, they will.
No. We wouldn't paint the vinyl. We would paint it.
You can paint your own.
But they can be painted.
No, from the factory, we can make this any color you want on the inside. Well, not any color.
But it's more cost if it's not white.
Yes, it is. So we kind of need to know that so we can alter or do an addendum or whatever.
I was going to say something.
I think that was a good question that somebody brought up, and we will deal with this. Before, we had everybody telling us they wanted white, okay? So that's when this came up. We thought that this was really a great solution for at least the people that wanted white on the inside. I think we can deal with that with the sample on all the floors. And I don't know right now. I mean, anything's possible. And obviously, when you do anything, especially a remodel, you have lots of things that you can't anticipate. But since we're anticipating this one, I really do think, and we'll see if it's a problem, and I'll talk to Josh about this, there's no reason you couldn't get a strip of vinyl, and when they put these things in there, put it right over that on the inside. And it could be the same exact material. I don't know how we would do that, but anything can be done. It just costs money.
Hey, we're spending a fortune, we don't have to slice nickels in half,
No, that's what I'm saying. I never even really thought about that those go all the way through like that. And so consequently, we're getting the metal to cover these struts on the outside. There's no reason we couldn't do it with white on the inside if that's a problem. I mean, you can get them powder coated. You could do anything with respect to that metal. So, I mean, I don't consider it a big deal.
Alan Rothman.
Richard's question about the vacuum effect. How important is it for us to still have the vacuum effect? Maybe we turn off the fans up on the...
In the wintertime.
Eliminate that? Is that important? Is that not
Well,
important?
Yeah.
Does that really do much for circulating through?
I think it helps with your showers and all that. The question is, why not just turn off the big fans on the roof that suck the air out in the bathrooms and laundry area? And I think for ventilation, you know, I think you need that, and you get mold buildup and things like that if you don't have that. Oh, wait a minute, I got the guy in the back first. He was.
When is the mock-up going to be done?
Well, that's a good question. When is a mock-up going to be done? Well, that's why we're here meeting today. We want to give him the go-ahead to go order the windows and get it done ASAP, so we can get moving before the rainy season comes on everything else and all that. And also, that's the purpose of having on a Saturday, getting things moving and going like that and all.
Is it a one-floor mock-up or?
The whole curtain wall, all 5. You know, as you come in the lobby right there, and where those windows right there, they're going to open, and it's going to be that whole curtain wall will be done similar to the other work.
On the vacuum effect, about a year ago in Tower 1, the fans were turned off or reduced in speed, and it made a big difference to the temperature inside the unit during the winter time. And I don't think anybody had a problem with air flowing in their units in the winter time with those fans off.
Right. You're right. So I think as far as the vacuum effect and the speed of the fans in the roof and all, I think they can be reduced in the wintertime and more powerful in the summer when the windows are open or things like that. No.
Otherwise, it just cools the unit.
Helen, way in the back.
Hi, I just have a question on the mock-up. Are the frames going to be white?
Well, that's what we're kind of at right now. That's
My
what.
concern, I just want to bring up is, you know, we're kind of off-white on the building with dirt in the cracks. I'm concerned that the white's going to make the building look.
No, Helen, the white is only inside. The outside, you're not seeing the outside of the building. I'm concerned about the white. It's only on the.
Or is it when you open the window, though? And in those big casements are open, they are white on the inside, and they're going to open out and show white.
Right. Well, that's a good point.
Whose thing about saying making it all one color is probably.
Oh, that's okay. Very good point. So what Bill's saying here is when the windows are open, you are going to see a lot of white from the inside and all. So good point. Okay.
Do you have a model with a narrower frame and more glass? Because I think 2 of these can block a lot more than what we have now.
My understanding is this was designed by AMSCO and all of the information that we have as to what the existing building is to comply with California Title 24 specifications. And this is the frame sizing and window sizing and everything.
The short answer is no. This is designed for storms and things like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors go into the design of this, and this is it. And he said it's minuscule. The difference is minuscule.
So this is a retrofit window. The way I understand it, this slides in between that existing brown frame. The frame's going to be here. So this is what we're losing here on the glass. But you know, when it's retrofit, I don't think there's any other choice. But the brown frame is on the outside of that.
Just take notes of everything and we'll go over it all.
Yeah, we have all these questions down. All right. What?
I don't have a question in particular, but I happen to live on the first floor, and I'm lucky that way because in the wintertime, I can go out there and sit on my ass and push with my feet to get my windows to shut. And I'm lucky that I still have 2 levers on the master bedroom and the other back bedroom that work on those opening windows. However, I do have 1 lever arm that's busted. I have 1 window that I can't even get to really close. I also have the molding, the rubber molding going around the top of all the windows and on the sides is falling out. And I'm lucky because I'm on the first floor. You know, and as we said before, those old windows are unsafe, and we've got to do something.
Okay. Ruth Ann? Can't hear you, Ruth Ann. You have to talk louder.
To open the windows so we can clean it, you talked about that being an option. So is that something that's going to get decided today as to do they open at the very edge or will it be pivoted more inside?
Well, let me ask the 2 questions on that. So the question is, the windows so they pivot and they're easy to clean. Is that an option, number one? And number two, is it an extra cost in that?
Okay. No, there's not an extra cost to do it that way, but I think if you're going to do it that way, you should all do it that way, and because therefore we're going to have to go to every individual homeowner and say, which option do you want? It would be nice to place an order. By the way, to answer your question, time frame, when we place an order on these windows, when this is all ready to go, it'll take approximately 4 to 5 weeks for them to manufacture them and send them back to us. Then we contact everybody through the board, put out notice that we're going to do this particular building or these units or whatever, and we schedule it. So it's a process. You have a large complex here, so it's a process, and it's really quite simple if you just work within those realms.
How much time are we going to have before the assessment is mandatory to be paid? Are you going to give us 6 months notice or 2 weeks notice?
Once we have the vote, Bob, you answer that one.
You're asking a lot of good questions, and it isn't like we've thought through all of this 100%. It's just like, what's the price going to be? We hate to give a price till we get done with that sample over there, because then we're going to be dealing with these guys as to what it really is going to cost. Obviously, it's not going to change significantly. We don't think it's going to change significantly. When would we start? Well, certainly you know right now that if we put that in, let's say we start on that thing 2 months from now. Hopefully we can get it in 5 or 6 weeks from now, and they'll have it done in a week and a half or 2 weeks at the most. Hopefully less than that. Hopefully it goes in real slick, and they say, "Wow, this is great. We're gonna fly with this job." But and we've had those windows apart, so I mean we know what it looks like inside. But till you actually put these in, just like these windows, I think these are new construction windows, but I don't think it's going to have that white flange in there either. I mean, this is a sample to look at it. They're going to look like these, but everything is not exactly the same. But I would say that you're going to know, so say all this stuff's in 2 months, we take a vote in 2.5 months or 3 months, and we would probably be starting 2 months after that, realistically, on the first ones. Everything is bronze on the outside. Everything.
Well, that's why this meeting is here. That's why we're here today with this meeting. That's what we're deciding today. And we can always have the white in the hallway and decide that we don't like that as much.
Because you're adding cost to us, you're going to nickel and dime us. If we don't want the white, we want the bronze, it's going to cost us more money also. So we need to know how it's going to look from the beginning. So we can
Well, if we go out for the assessment vote, we'll have that information.
whether it's going to be worth paying the extra. We all have the brown frames right now. So
Well,
now you're
would
going to
it be
shove a
possible
white
when you do
window
the
in our
stack
frame?
in Tower 3 that you do part of it in white and part of it in brown?
That's a good idea.
So they can see what it looks like?
We can do anything we want.
That's Gary asked a good question. So we're going to do the Tower 3, the hallway, which is way back where hardly anybody ever walks out and sees. You know, it's not like it's a major thoroughfare in the building. So maybe that would be a good idea to do one floor white and another floor, and then we could kind of get a good sense for what the white is and all, and it's back there where it's not that visible. So something, good point. All right, Melanie.
I just had a question. You were mentioning that you figured the price will probably be general ballpark of what you have an idea now. So with that in mind, and we're going to have an assessment and we're going to use reserves, for how many years will we have a homeowner's increase to build up the reserves?
Are you talking about beyond? The question is about how many years do we have a homeowner's increase? Are you talking about beyond what we're doing right now, beyond that, or where we're at right?
My point is I know that there's a
I don't anticipate any increase in the dues at this particular point in time unless we have something else that we don't know about that comes up.
So basically, in relation to the windows, we're not going to need to have an HOA increase to build those reserves.
Not that I know of. And realistically, when these windows go in, the percentage of, if you want to go with how the state's doing it and the accountant that does that reserve study all the time, instead of us being at about 16%, I would presume that number is going to go up to 35 or 40% because now we've got the windows in. But you start reserving immediately for 40 years from now when they put in windows again in that study. So, you have to use some judgment with respect to what the state says because there's all kinds of these associations that have no money. And when we had the financial crisis back in 2009, 10, 11, and people couldn't sell their condos in different areas because their associations had no reserves, and units that were selling for $250,000 to $300,000 were now selling for $125,000 because the homeowners association was a disaster, and people were coming in and buying every unit in the building because they knew once they got rid of the homeowners association, they could own 100% of the building, and that happened a lot.
How much did our reserves increase this year just with the HOA fee?
The reserves went up about $160,000, but that was because we didn't do any significant capital improvements this last 12 months. Yes.
When we leave here, and we could be gone for 2-3 months at a time, we always leave our windows cracked open a bit. What if our window is, and it's so much more area involved now that would be open, and a storm comes while we're gone? Will the window?
I'll answer that. I'll answer that. I would say if you leave for 2 or 3 months, like for example, my windows that I have in, similar to this, and I'll say, always lock them, during storms and all. So you'd want to have another homeowner that lives around here with a key. If you anticipate a winter storm coming, for them to go in and lock your windows. I would say in the wintertime, either keep them closed in the wintertime, but I would say definitely have somebody access to your unit. Leave them for 3 months like that, you'd always want to do that. Al?
Yeah, we know that our reserves are way underfunded compared to most of us. Now we're still, even though they've increased, they're not where they're supposed to be. Now we're going to take money out of that and keep our HOA fees higher than most people around.
All right, so Al's concern is that our reserves are underfunded, and this window is going to deplete the reserves even further.
Well, I think everybody that looks at it, Al, is looking at how much we're spending per month per unit with respect to operating expenses. Out of that $825 dues, we're using about $670 and change per month just in operating of the association. This association now, because everybody voted for it, added earthquake insurance, which added the last $25 a month to the cost of the dues. And so consequently, there's a lot of things provided, like the cable TV and the cable actually for your computer. So we keep adding things, and that's pretty much why the dues have gone up the last few times. I don't anticipate that unless we have some crisis, I don't know what we would have that would, something that's going to cost $100,000 or $150,000 is not a crisis. Something that's going to cost $700,000 is probably a crisis. He wants to know if we're going to have another significant increase if we have to redo all of the plumbing. I don't think, personally, under any circumstances, are we ever going to do all of the plumbing at one point in time. When we got estimates to do that for one building 10 or 11 years ago to line the pipes on the inside for one stack was $1,900,000. So we were looking at like $800,000. If you started pulling out all of your sinks and everything else to be able, and your commodes and everything in the bathrooms to be able to get to all those pipes to replumb this thing,
I'm not sure that you could replumb it for any less than you can line the pipes. So I don't see that. We're dealing with the problem. For the last 10 years or more, maybe 15 years, we've been regularly cleaning lines where we've had problems so that we have as minimal problems as we can deal with. And so consequently, we're going to keep doing that. If you realized, and I wish all of you would, I wish we'd have this many people at every meeting. If you realized how many emails goes between this board, there's 5, 6 a day. There's things going on. I mean, it's like a full-time job for this board. There's lots of things that go on around this property that nobody knows about. But we deal with them, and we deal with them as economically as possible, and that's what we're doing with respect to the plumbing. I don't have better answers because it's real life. I mean, we can't give you answers to take care of you for the rest of your life. I mean, you have to deal with issues as they present themselves, and this board will deal with issues. And I can tell you, if somebody doesn't like it on this board, they better really not like it, because they're going to have to convince at least a couple other people, and that doesn't usually happen. We usually go till we get the answer that we're all in agreement with.
Thank you, Bob. Jim's got Saturday. Thank Jim for being here, and he wants to get out of here on a Saturday. Are there any last-minute questions for Jim, so he can leave?
When you pull permits to do this window, is that going to trigger upgrades to ADA requirements for the complex?
No. Wait, it will not affect ADA requirements for doing the windows. No, not at all. These are what?
I can address that. Upgrading to ADA requirements would only be required if we open up the entire facility to the public to come in here and use our swimming pools, charge them to use the pools, have a business on here when people come in to buy Subway sandwiches or something. If we do not open the facility up to the general public, we are not subject to ADA.
I was under the impression that any major construction going on in a building that was pre-ADA would have to comply with ADA in order to pull permits to do major construction.
What we're basically doing is changing out like for like, basically, in a sense, with a few modifications. So no.
There's questions for Jim before he goes. Okay.
So my question is the manufacturer of these replacement retrofit windows, are you counting on that aluminum strut being saved, or can we get rid of the frames?
No, we're going to go over the existing frames.
But do we have to keep them, because that's going to increase the amount of meat per visible unit? Because you've got the vertical strut, plus you've got your frame on the inside of it. So that vertical strut grows from that to about that.
So the concern is...
That's an engineering question that I'd like to give you an intelligent answer, but I don't feel qualified to answer
All right,
that.
so we have that. Do
Do
you guys have a question?
It's been engineered for these windows to comply with California 24 and accomplish what we need to do for your particular complex.
All right, we have that question down. We'll do it. Who else had? Gail in the back.
If you're replacing on a large expanse of windows, and you're replacing are you replacing only the ones that open? Because then you could have a mismatch if not.
No, Gail. All the windows are being replaced except your sliding glass doors on your patio.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Can you find out if it's possible really to reduce the frame of the windows? You, not you.
Yes.
And no.
I understand.
You're the expert. You know the
Yes.
laws, etc. Can you find that out?
We will research that. Yes. Write that down, please.
Can the frame of the windows be reduced so we don't lose as much visibility?
One question for you. For the pippin windows, is the connection point in the center, or is it in the side and then it slides?
The
The
connection
pivoting.
point. You mean the crank?
To make it pivot, where's the connection point?
Saying she's asking where the point is where it would open from.
It's going to be approximately right about here, almost in the middle, so that when it opens up, you can reach in and clean the exterior of the.
I see them in the middle, and then I see them on the side.
So are you saying that they're going to pivot? They're not going to. The window's going to not instead of pivoting like this, it's going to kind of pivot from a middle point and pivot. So it's going to the pivot's going to be right in the middle.
Yeah.
So it'll come in and out.
Exactly.
Well, then that would definitely be an issue with plantation shutters.
Yes.
Okay, so does everybody understand that? So the ones that pivot so you can clean them, instead of it opening like this does out, it's going to pivot from here, so half of the window is going to go in, half is going to go out, which aesthetically from the outside would look better, but in my case, I have plantation shutters, so they'd have to be pretty far away from that window for that to work.
Well, the shutters, that shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
But we'll address that. I want to make sure that we get all your questions addressed, because you still have some answers that you want, and we'll be happy to give them to you.
Okay.
But we still need to know about interior color. So that's another thing you guys need to decide upon. My understanding was that the majority of the association voted on white.
No, we've never voted. We've never
I thought
voted.
you
No,
did.
no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Helen in the back, and then Raquel.
Just a question, is there someplace, a unit where you put these, complex, so we can go and look and see what those
No,
look like?
not these particular windows. I'm sorry, but this is all a new situation for us and you guys.
Okay, there's no place you can say it. Raquel.
I was wondering about the color of the glass. So I see you see it a little bit different from one side than from the other.
Okay.
What would it look like from the outside?
A question on the glass color itself.
What do the glass in
This is the low E366 glass, which is by far the most efficient glass for California Title 24 specifications you can use in a window. And that's what you guys are getting.
She's asked about color.
It has a greenish tint to it. Yes. That's the silver oxide that you're seeing. It gives off a greenish hue.
Won't it make it darker inside?
You can, if an individual homeowner wants additional, let's say, glare resistance, we can put additional tint on the glass, which will change it altogether. But that's kind of like maybe a board situation where I don't know if that's going to be okay, because right now the way this is, it's going to be very effective in solar heat gain and also ultraviolet.
I was worried about the light coming in. I'd rather have.
This is going to make a huge difference between what you have now. From what you have now with this, it's going to be a huge difference.
You're going to get more. In other words, you're going to get more light coming in with these windows. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh.
no.
So they're not going to be.
The solar heat gain is going to be grossly reduced, as well as the ultraviolet.
Yeah, but the light.
She wants them clear. She wants them clear so she can see.
It will diffuse that light coming through as well. That's your ultraviolet as well.
They're dark enough.
If you want additional tinting, let's say, this will still afford you light. Definitely, it's not going to make it so you can't see out the window or anything like that. Not really. It has a greenish hue to it.
All the windows have a slight brownish tint to them, if you've seen it. It's a goldish or bronzish tint.
This is 90%.
A little greenish.
The vast majority of all your new windows today that comply with California 24 specs, this is the glass right here.
All right. Any more questions for Jim so we can get out of here? And if he does leave, we can still write them down and we can get answers later. But let's let Jim go and thank him for spending his Saturday with us. All right. All right.
Yeah, just
All right. One more question in the back.
Yeah, thank you.
What is a quick question? What?
Yeah, well, just a suggestion. There's been enough issue raised about the size, the diminishment of light and view for the units. Couldn't the company do some sort of a template mock-up that would show the exact glazing area?
Well, that's what we're doing with the Tower 3.
But that's the hallway windows are different from the interior windows of the units.
No, they're not. They're the same. They're the same window. Okay. Thank you, Jim.